We're gonna go to France. France 24 English. My favorite French channel. Especially because they talk in English, which I can speak. So, we're just seeing how maybe this speech tonight is gonna talk about like America leaving NATO, or maybe it's just gonna be Trump bitching and moaning about NATO. I really don't know, one way or the other. He said that something's going to happen with NATO, or like he's going to talk about NATO at this speech. So I really have no idea what that means, but let's go ahead and check in with an EU country, or like the EU countries, or at least the EU experts, I guess, with this video that says NATO doesn't really exist anymore other than on paper, experts say. France 24 English. Let's see what they're talking about.
This isn't the first time that Donald Trump has said that he would like to take the United States out of NATO, but it's the most serious, and it's being repeated by senior members of his administration. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Now, because Donald Trump has threatened this in the past, the US Congress actually passed a law in December 2024, right before he started this term, saying that the US president would need an act of Congress.
Congress? What's Congress? Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Yeah, I mean, so obviously, who gives a shit about Congress at this point, right? Am I wrong? Like, Congress has no power at this point. It's all been handed to the executive branch, literally by the Supreme Court, like it feels like. So, like, Congress saying you can't unilaterally withdraw from NATO, what are they going to do about it? If he went up on stage tonight and he said, NATO's done, we're out of it, it's over, good luck rest of the world, or whatever, like, what is Congress going to go out there and be like, actually that's not true, because we are the ones who actually have the power to do that? And like, do you think the rest of the world is going to take that shit seriously? No, they understand the American political system is like just the executive branch at this point. Like, nothing ever gets passed in Congress except for one bill every year to like fund the government for another year, basically. Like, that's like the only thing that ever passes in Congress anymore. So they are just completely toothless, whether they say that or not. I don't think the rest of the world is going to buy it. I think if the rest of the world hears Trump say NATO's over, I think they're going to take that a little seriously.
To take the US out of NATO. But honestly, that's going to be cold comfort for Europeans, because as the professor at the King's College London Department of War Studies, Ruth Dyerman, pointed out today, from Trump's statements to The Telegraph, you can see that whether or not the US is in NATO or out of it, Trump has no intention of defending Europe if it is invaded by Russia. If you listen to that quote there, where he said that NATO is a paper tiger and Vladimir Putin knows that, well, Donald Trump is the only person who determines whether NATO is a paper tiger or not.
That's what I said earlier.
NATO is a paper tiger if the United States won't honor the Article 50 mutual.
Yeah, because America is the only one that matters in NATO. America is the only one with the military capabilities in NATO. Everybody else just depends on America to do all of their dirty work for them, or whatever. Like, that's kind of the whole thing. It's essentially a protection racket, with, you know, America being the I don't know, the crime syndicate boss or whatever, who goes in and like does all the dirty work for all of the other countries in exchange for, so that they don't actually have to spend any of their money on their military and stuff, or like develop a competent military, or like anything like that. So that's like the exchange here. And then those countries then get to reap some of the benefits of America's imperial ambitions, by essentially being a part of this like conglomerate of imperialism. But the cost of that, obviously, is you lose all of your independence, and you are essentially a vassal state to America at that point. So, and that's the exact reason why I am all down for ending NATO. Like, them saying that NATO is like just exists on paper now, like it effectively doesn't exist, that's music to my fucking ears, because that just means that America can no longer just get all of the just like diplomatic support. Like I'm thinking about things like the UN, right? Or like international political bodies, or just international like reputation and politics in general, right? Like for instance, defending the state of Israel and all that stuff. All of these countries that are a part of NATO feel an obligation to follow every single word that America says at the International Criminal Court, like be it like the sanctions stuff, be it like America protecting Israel during its genocide. Like all of that stuff is because they all depend so heavily on America for all of their security needs. If NATO disappears, then they finally have to either diversify by going to China or other Russia or other powers to facilitate their military needs, or grow their own militaries like internally and maybe create blocks that can then counterbalance against America in their own way. And I think now's kind of the time to do it, because America is being shown to be a paper tiger right now, and how terribly it's doing against Iran and this war against a power that was honestly thought to be kind of a middle power, but is starting to become like, is starting to emerge from this war as like a world superpower, is what it feels like. They're able to control the Strait of Hormuz. They're able to essentially like at will destroy anything they want in any of the countries surrounding them, including Israel and also all of the Gulf states. Like they seem to essentially have proven to the world that they are not a middle power. They're actually a superpower. And I think that at the end of this war, we're really going to see the ramifications of that, and also the ramifications of like America essentially just saying NATO's over. And I think all of that's going to be honestly generally good for the working class of the world. It'll definitely be good for the working class of all of those other countries, because they're going to have to like reindustrialize to some extent to, you know, to try and do some of the stuff that they weren't able to do before because they were so dependent on America. So I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
Defense clause and defend Europe if it is attacked. And everything Donald Trump and his administration is saying right now is indicating that it wouldn't do that. So that's extremely worrying for Europeans. Even if Donald Trump is forced to stay in NATO by the US Congress, what's become increasingly clear, experts say, is that NATO doesn't really exist anymore other than on paper. Marco Rubio pointed out in an interview on Fox News this morning that without the US, there is no NATO. Those are the exact words used by the EU's foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, back in September. Meaning, in other words, without the US protectorate system, without the US security guarantee, NATO is not a real alliance, unless Europeans are able to rapidly retrofit NATO into some kind of European alliance. And that's the type of discussions that are going to have to start happening.
Yeah. It's just funny to me because they're finally validating everything I've always thought, or everything that I've thought for like the past like few years at least, that that none of these other countries have any impact or say on NATO, right? Like they were all always irrelevant to the idea of NATO. And back in the day, I feel like people used to get mad at you if you said that. Like Europeans would get mad at you if you said that they were like, yeah, that they were irrelevant when it comes to defense, like in the world, like or in the realm of NATO. And now they're just straight up admitting it, because it's like they can't really pretend anymore. It's becoming much more real now, and they kind of have to, you know, they kind of have to be a little bit more honest. It feels like, but okay.